Hello, I'm George Ellis, and as you can see, this is our last day in Toronto. Everybody's getting packed up, ready to head back to Johnstown. We had an awesome week here, learned a lot of stuff, talked to some great people. The Live Theology students had astounding hospitality. They're great to talk to. We all got along wonderfully. And I'm going to try to recap the week in as short amount of time as possible. I hope you can get a feel for what we experienced this week and what we all learned. When I first heard that Father Jonathan wanted to take all of us seminarians on a mission trip to St. John the Compassionate Mission here in Toronto, Canada, I almost decided not to come, and rather was going to choose to stay behind to maintain the seminary. It's not that I didn't want to come, but simply because I had minimal funds at the time, and because of personal struggles I was trying to deal with, as well as the stress of all the homework that we had. I found the time to be bad for these selfish reasons. But as time went on, the funds for the trip pulled through, and I started becoming more anxious and excited for the trip, although not knowing quite what to expect. I am so glad I decided not to stay behind in Johnstown. After the first day, I was in awe of how awesome St. John the Compassion Mission really is. The mission and all of its workers are so involved with the community and loving to everyone, not to those just in need. It is beyond words the impact you see it has on others. The goal of the mission is to help those less fortunate than us. This goes beyond those of low or no income living in poverty, but those who are poor in spirit as well. But it's so much more than that. Because they turn no one away. Everyone who walks through those doors are welcomed with open arms. They don't push orthodoxy on anyone. There are a few people who have found orthodoxy on their own through the mission, some of which have become workers there at St. John the Compassion Mission. The mission certainly makes you think what it means to be in communion with others. Yes, communion is the body of blood in Christ that baptized Orthodox Christians partake of to become one of the flesh with Christ. But here at the mission, it's more than that. Communion is what draws community together through the church. And if you sit down and talk to some of these people, you realize that they may not have completely devoted themselves to orthodoxy, but through conversation with them, you realize they truly are what exemplify what Orthodox Christian is, just by the way they talk and experience life. And some stories that I have heard are that Roberto told us was one Valentine's Day there was this guy who came in, very intimidating to a lot of people, didn't talk, very gruff looking, and nobody wanted to talk to him because they were kind of afraid of what might happen. But one day this girl who worked there got up the courage to go and sit down and talk to him, and he didn't say anything, but she just sat there with him, and he ate and laughed, and then afterwards she felt like she didn't really help him at all. She felt she failed at her attempt to make a new friend and help this guy out. But lo and behold, she actually really did help him a great deal. He came back later with a bouquet of flowers, gave it to her, and said, "Thank you. Thank you for sitting with me. That really meant a lot." And as I was here, I was talking to one guy. He was going on to tell me how he can't move his neck really well because he has arthritis. He was re-diagnosed with cancer, and he had gotten a divorce, and he still seemed very happy with his life and content. And I saw him every day after that. He came to church, he dressed up in a suit, and it made me feel happy. And I realized that the poor in spirit are not just those who don't go to church, who have no faith. We ourselves are actually poor in spirit. We all have a story to tell. We all have a lesson to learn. And it's definitely gave me a better outlook on my personal life and what I hope to achieve through my studies at the seminary. And that's another thing. You can sit in these classes and learn and understand the concepts, but until you actually go out in the real world and live the theology, you never can really understand it. And we all here have learned something different. And it's amazing. And that's all I have. I hope you really enjoyed our video blogs and our diaries, and we look forward to telling our stories.